00 a.m., the first signal. Just after midnight local time, long before sunrise, something unusual begins appearing on commercial satellite tracking platforms and open maritime monitoring feeds. At first, it doesn't look dramatic. No explosions, no headlines, no official alerts. But analysts watching the region notice something deeply abnormal. Multiple PLA rocket force-associated launch zones across China's eastern and southern coastal regions suddenly go dark, a classic indicator of electromagnetic emissions control, often used before major missile activity. At the same time, US early warning assets in the Pacific begin detecting what sources later describe as abnormal telemetry bursts, short-duration signals consistent with missile system activation, not necessarily launches. This is the first warning. 12:17 a.m., base alert status changes. Roughly 17 minutes later, US military installations in the Western Pacific quietly transition into a heightened readiness posture. According to unverified but widely reported OSINT chatter, this includes Andersen Air Force Base, Guam Kadena Air Base, Okinawa Forward Deployed Naval Logistics Hubs. Importantly, no public alert is issued. That silence is intentional. In US military doctrine, early-stage ambiguity is managed quietly to avoid escalation, especially when intent is unclear. At this stage, commanders do not yet believe an attack is underway, but they are no longer ruling it out. 12:42 a.m., the first missile count claim appears. This is where the story becomes dangerous. An anonymous military-affiliated account on a regional platform posts a claim that will spread globally within hours. PLA conducted large-scale missile activity, possibly up to 100 launches, toward open water zones near US operational areas. This claim is unverified. No government confirms it. No radar data is released publicly. But within minutes, defense analysts begin noticing something unsettling. 12:49 a.m., multiple trajectory indicators. Independent OSINT researchers identify multiple NOTAM, notice to air missions, and maritime exclusion zones that were quietly activated earlier that day. These zones overlap in pattern, extend into open ocean areas, avoid civilian shipping lanes, align with ballistic and cruise missile test corridors. Crucially, they do not point directly at US bases. Instead, they appear to simulate strike envelopes, missile trajectories that could reach US installations without actually doing so. This distinction matters, because in modern warfare, simulation can be more provocative than impact. 1:03 a.m., missiles in the air, or something else. By just after 1 a.m., social media headlines explode. China fires 100 missiles near US base. Massive missile launch detected. Pacific on edge. But behind closed doors, US analysts are debating a critical question. Were missiles actually launched, or were systems activated to look like launches? This matters because a real launch triggers missile defense engagement protocols. A simulated launch tests reaction times, not defenses. A false positive escalation could trigger war. At this stage, US missile defenses do not engage. That tells us something important. 1:21 a.m. The US holds fire. Despite growing online hysteria, THAAD, Aegis, and Patriot systems remain silent. Why? Because according to partial radar tracking leaks cited by defense journalists, the objects detected did not maintain terminal trajectories, did not transition into boost phase profiles, did not show re-entry signatures. In simpler terms, whatever happened, it did not look like an actual attack. But that doesn't mean it wasn't dangerous. 1:47 a.m. China breaks silence without saying much. Nearly 2 hours after the first signals, Chinese state-affiliated media issues a carefully worded statement. The People's Liberation Army conducted routine training activities in accordance with annual readiness plans. No numbers, no locations, no confirmation of missiles. That vagueness is deliberate, because ambiguity itself is a weapon. 2:05 a.m. US command response escalates at approximately 2:05 a.m. local time. US Indo-Pacific Command reportedly elevates coordination across air assets, naval strike groups, space-based monitoring systems, satellite tasking shifts, electronic warfare platforms activate, cyber monitoring intensifies. Still, no public announcement. The US is now treating this not as a strike, but as a strategic signal event. 2:38 a.m. a.m., the real purpose emerges. Military analysts begin aligning on a theory. This was not about hitting a base. This was about testing America's reaction time. According to unverified but credible analysis, China simulated a high-volume missile saturation scenario. The number 100 likely represents combined launch systems, not actual fired missiles. The goal was to observe how fast US forces mobilize and how quietly. And the answer: America responded fast and silently, which may have been the most unsettling outcome of all. 3:10 a.m., a shift in US posture. By early morning hours, US naval groups alter patrol patterns, not aggressively, not visibly, but decisively. Submarines reposition, air patrol intervals tighten, ISR coverage thickens. To the outside world, nothing appears different. But in military terms, the chessboard has changed. What happened next did not involve missiles. It did not involve explosions, and it did not require public threats. Instead, America responded in a way designed to send a message only Beijing would fully understand. Across space, cyber, undersea, and command domains. 03:32 a.m., the silent countermove begins. While headlines remain frozen on the phrase 100 missiles, something far more consequential is already unfolding. Quietly, invisibly, and without public acknowledgement, at approximately 3:32 a.m., multiple independent satellite trackers detect a sudden shift in US space-based asset behavior. This includes retasking of infrared early warning satellites, modified orbital dwell times over the Western Pacific, increased data relay through secure ground stations. This information is inferred, not officially confirmed, but analysts agree on one thing: America has stopped watching passively. 03:50 a.m., undersea forces enter the picture. By 03:50 a.m., unverified maritime tracking data suggests US Navy submarines, likely Virginia-class, alter patrol depths and routes in the Philippine Sea and beyond. There are no sonar pings, no surfaced vessels, no radio chatter, but undersea analysts later note a distinct pattern. Chinese naval movements suddenly slow. Several PLA Navy surface groups reduce emissions. Underwater drone activity reportedly drops off. This suggests one thing: China realized it was being watched very closely. 04:11 a.m., cyberspace ignites. This is where the confrontation shifts domains. At around 04:11 a.m., cybersecurity firms monitoring regional military networks report short-duration latency spikes, brief command and control interruptions, encrypted traffic rerouting. These events are not officially attributed to the US or China. However, timing matters, because these disruptions occur minutes after Chinese missile exercise windows were expected to close. According to defense analysts, this likely indicates a US cyber reconnaissance surge, testing of PLA response under pressure, mapping of digital command dependencies. This is modern warfare without a single shot fired. 04:47 a.m., China stops transmitting. Suddenly, something unexpected happens. Chinese military-linked frequencies that had been active earlier in the night go completely quiet, not reduced, not encrypted, silent. This is significant because silence suggests vulnerability, not confidence. It indicates loss of initiative. It often follows detection, not success. For analysts, this marks the moment the balance shifts. 05:05 a.m., America makes its move without announcing it. Just before dawn, US forces reportedly initiate a coordinated multi-domain posture adjustment. This includes extended air patrol cycles, expanded ISR coverage over open ocean zones, enhanced ballistic missile defense readiness, strategic bomber readiness shifts, no takeoffs confirmed. Still, the public sees nothing, but behind the scenes, every contingency is now covered. 5:38 a.m., the hell is not fire, it's control. Here's the critical misunderstanding many viewers have. America did not unleash hell with missiles. It unleashed hell by removing China's strategic ambiguity. According to unverified analysis, PLA missile launch signatures were fully mapped, launch preparation timelines were measured, reaction delays were recorded, command authorization windows were analyzed. In other words, China showed its hand. America memorized it. That knowledge is more powerful than destruction. 6:10 a.m. Morning briefings turn sobering. As the sun rises, US defense officials receive preliminary assessments. The conclusion: this was not a test of missiles, this was a test of will, and the result was unexpected. China likely expected public panic, diplomatic warnings. Media escalation instead, it got silence precision, readiness. That silence speaks louder than retaliation. 6:42 a.m. China quietly dials it back by mid-morning. Maritime exclusion zones quietly expire. No extensions, no announcements, no victory statements. State media shifts tone, focusing on unrelated domestic topics. This is not how victorious exercises end. This is how risk is de-escalated. 7:15 a.m. Allies notice everything. Although the public remains largely unaware, US allies are not. Japan, Australia, and select NATO partners reportedly increase intelligence sharing, adjust readiness postures, review contingency planning. No statements are issued, but coordination intensifies. 8 a.m. The real message sinks in. By 8 a.m., analysts agree on a chilling conclusion. China demonstrated volume, America demonstrated dominance. Because volume without surprise is weakness, and surprise without chaos is control. 9:20 a.m. Why this was so dangerous? Let's be clear, if even one missile had deviated, missile defenses may have engaged, retaliation thresholds could have been crossed, escalation could have become irreversible. This confrontation balanced on minutes, and both sides knew it. 10:45 a.m. Official silence continues. The US Department of Defense issues no confirmation. China issues no clarification. That mutual silence is intentional, because acknowledging the incident would lock both sides into narratives, force diplomatic escalation, reduce maneuvering space. Silence preserves control. 12 p.m. What destroyed everyone really means let's address the title directly. America did not destroy cities. It did not destroy fleets. It did not destroy bases. What it destroyed was uncertainty, surprise, strategic leverage. In modern warfare, that is devastation. Afternoon analysis, the long-term consequences. In the hours and days that followed, Chinese missile exercises reportedly became less frequent. Launch windows shortened. Emissions discipline tightened. These are signs of caution, not confidence. America didn't respond loudly. It responded decisively. Why this matters going forward? This incident changes three things permanently. Missile saturation is no longer invisible. High-volume simulations now reveal vulnerabilities, not strength. America's response model has evolved. Silence, speed, and precision beat spectacle. The next encounter will be shorter or more dangerous, because both sides now understand the margins. This was not war, but it was not peace either. It was a reminder that modern conflict lives in seconds, signals, silence, and sometimes the most powerful response is the one you never see.